Okay, I don't know about you all, but I need a Hope Corps video. So let's talk about some positive things that have happened over the last week or so. I did one of these last week and I got overwhelming feedback that I should continue to do more good stories of how democracy is working, how people are maintaining their humanity and their compassion. We all need more stories about the good things that are happening in America right now because the negative news is really overwhelming and it is meant to demoralize us and get us to give up. And so we need to remind ourselves, we need to pay attention and focus on all of the good things that are happening as well. Number one is that a 24-year-old from South Carolina named Keyshawn Scott won his special election. He crushed his Republican opponent in an absolute landslide. He got 70% of the vote, winning his seat for the South Carolina House of Representatives. This is a really big win on multiple levels. It's great to see Gen Z having more representation. It's really good to see a Democrat win in South Carolina, where Lindsey Graham is senator, and to see that Scott massively outpaced Kamala Harris in that district. We're consistently seeing in special elections across the country Democratic gains over November. Much bigger wins by much bigger margins. And as long as we're looking at election results, let's look at Mississippi. Mississippi is a red state. However, Democrats absolutely cleaned up this week. Jackson, Mississippi elected a Democrat, John Horn, to be their mayor. He won with 66% of the vote. Now, I'm quoting election results here from the Magnolia Tribune, and yesterday they said it appeared that the Democratic candidate Willis Thompson was up in the election, but it hadn't been finalized yet, and that the incumbent mayor, George Flaggs, who was a Democrat who left the Democratic Party to become an independent, was behind. So I just double checked, and 3 hours ago, incumbent mayor George Flaggs conceded the election to Democrat Willis Thompson. And in 9 other cities around Mississippi, the Democratic candidate won in their mayoral race this week. As long as we're looking at wins in red states, let's look at Oklahoma. This is my favorite story of the week. Tulsa's mayor announced a $105 million program for reparations for the Tulsa race massacre of 1921. This is such an important story because across Oklahoma, we are seeing some of the most severe Democratic backsliding anywhere in the country. We are watching Christo-fascists test out their awful Project 2025 plans in Oklahoma. So to see this reparations program roll out in Tulsa, this is a really, really big deal. In a country that is currently doing its darndest to erase Black history, with a regime that wants to institute white supremacy because the rollback of DEI is the institution of white supremacy, where they don't want our children to have access to factual information about our history, about the history of Black Americans. To see this happen, to see this reparation program be instituted in Tulsa, this is a really big deal. In the midst of lots of really ugly racist shit happening around the country, this is a really important story. The bravery of the leadership in Tulsa being willing to start this reparations program right now at this moment in history, I think is significant. Okay, one more important piece of good news right now. When we're talking about having an America that works for the working class, that works for the people and not for corporations, where our rights are protected, our quality of life is protected, we have the chance to prosper. One key component in the fight for workers' rights is always going to be the unions. And so we want to look at Madison, Wisconsin this week. Nurses in Madison were on strike for 5 days, and at the end of it, they got the contract that they needed. The SEIU, which represents the nurses, was able to negotiate a number of really important things they needed in their contract, as well as an 8% pay raise. In a country where corporations are lobbying at the state and federal level to get lawmakers to dilute the power of our unions, to strip them of their ability to negotiate on behalf of American workers, I think it's really important to celebrate moments where the labor movement is protecting the rights of the American people. So a number of other good stories. I will just cut it off there for now, and I'll just make another one of these videos in a day or two. I really want to encourage you to limit how much negative content that you take in. There are just so many overwhelming, oppressively dark news stories that are coming out right now. Please remember that that is part of the shock and awe. That is part of the shock doctrine of the Trump regime. They want to demoralize you. They want you to give up. They want you to feel hopeless. They want to suppress those good stories, those stories of victory, those stories where the American people are winning, where democracy is winning, where the rule of law is holding. So take time to lean into those stories. Take time to search out those stories. So I really want to encourage you to protect your peace right now and also make a conscious choice to consume those positive stories, because there are hundreds of millions of Americans who are embracing compassion, humanity, who are leaning in to doing the good work that is going to help restore this democracy, who are protecting the most vulnerable right now. And we can draw courage and encouragement from those stories. So let's continue to be intentional about seeking them out and sharing them with others.